everyone, and today we will be taking a look at this vintage General Electric model number 7-4975B, an alarm clock radio with a cassette recorder. I've had this clock for about 3 years now, and it's always been one of my favorites. It's always on my nightstand, and it's one of the first ones that I got when I got into collecting clock radios. So it's always been a nice and fun clock to use. It plays tapes pretty well. So let's have a closer look at it. And as you can see, it's a very stylish clock with this all silver fascia up front, which also extends up and over the top in a very unique way. It does it in sort of a step up motion, as you can see. And the main clock face kind of protrudes out the front here, leaving this big ledge across the front. It's definitely a unique design. And in typical 80s fashion, we have a nice faux wood grain finish up top, but it doesn't continue down the entire side. Instead, the rest is black plastic, but instead of it just being plain, you can see they added these little slots that kind of mimic the speaker grill that gives it a little detail, which is a nice touch. And overall, the cabinet is in pretty decent shape. It has its scratch and stain here and there, and some of the chrome is rubbing off in spots, but overall, it's in pretty decent shape. Now let's have a look at the controls. Up in this corner, we have our main function switch, which turns the radio off or on. And if you have it in radio off, that is also in the tape mode. And that switch also sets our alarm to wake to either the radio, the cassette tape, or the alarm buzzer. And right here, we have our 2 time setting buttons. We have fast and slow, and those are both for forward direction only. So you can't set the time going backwards, which means if you pass up the time you want to set it to, you gotta go all the way back around. And if we flip the unit over real quick and come back here, there's a switch labeled time set. And if it's set to on, we can set the time like normal, but there is a lock feature. So if you set it to lock, it prevents you from setting the time, so that way you don't bump it trying to turn the alarm off and accidentally mess up your time setting. You can, however, still set the alarm, no problem. To set the alarm time, you hold this wake button and then use the fast and slow buttons to set it. Then we have the button for the sleep timer. If you want to fall asleep while the radio is on, but have it turn off automatically, you can hold that down, and using the slow button, you can set the duration that the radio will stay on, and then once it runs out, it'll shut itself off. Just like that. Moving on, we have our band selector switch, AM or FM. And then next to that, we have the sleep selector switch. You can sleep to the radio, as you just saw, or you can actually sleep to the cassette tape, which is pretty neat. And moving along this little recessed portion right here, which again, the way the front end design is just cool and unique. We have a tone slider, as well as the volume slider. The higher on the tone dial, the more treble, and the lower, the more bass. And then lastly up here, we have the infamous General Electric snooze button without a Z. And last but not least, up top, we have our cassette deck, which has a nice big clear window right here for you to see your tape inside. And they have this cool little illustration showing the transport direction. And it even tells you which one is the supply reel and the take-up reel. So that's pretty cool. We have a nice General Electric badge right there as well. And we have our controls up front right here. Again, it records tapes as well as plays them, and you can sleep and wake up to the cassette tape as well. And it also has automatic stop, but this is only in play mode and not forward and rewind. Last thing to point out, this little grill right here is actually a grill for the microphone. Moving down to the front, we have our clock display as well as our radio tuning dial. The clock display is a blue vacuum fluorescent display, or VFD. The best out of all of the clock displays in my opinion, but they are known for being bright in the dark, which isn't really great for a clock when you're trying to sleep. So they almost always have a dimming function, and this one is no exception. You may have noticed it earlier when we looked at the time lockout switch, but there is a dial back here for adjusting that brightness. This is about in the middle, and that's full brightness. And this thing will dim itself so much that it won't even illuminate. You can go as dim as you want pretty much. Here it is in a little lower lighting. And you can also see that it has separate indicators for AM and PM. And it also has an indicator for the alarm, but it's very unusual. It's a little bell symbol. Instead of just being a dot or something else, it actually shows a neat little bell icon, which is something that you don't see very often. Anyways, getting back to it, the last thing to cover on the front is we have our tuning dial. Nice big tactile knob. The tuning feels nice and smooth. But we also have this little button right here. And I often see a lot of people confused on what this is. As you can see, it's labeled message. And a lot of people assume it's some fancy computer memory thing for the tape recorder, like some sort of answering machine. But literally all this does is turn on an LED light. That's all it does. But the purpose of it is, say you're at work or something, but you want to leave a message for someone when they get home while you're away. You can record your message on a tape and rewind it, have it queued and ready to go, and turn on the message light when you walk out the door. And said person walks in later that day, they'll see that the message light is on, so they'll play the tape and have a listen to what that person wanted them to hear. So that's all that is. Just a little indicator letting someone know that there is a message for them to play back. Pretty neat. And that concludes all of the controls for this clock. But there's one area we haven't looked at yet, and that's the bottom. There's no controls or switches down here, and this unit does not have battery backup, so there's no battery tray. But we have the usual spot for all of our warnings and model information. And we also have a sticker for the serial number. Sadly, for some reason, there's no date code sticker, so I don't know the exact date of this clock, but I know they were made in the early 80s. And again, it's the model number 7-4975B. So you'll probably assume that since there's a B model, there's also an A model. And that is true. And there's also a C model. So there were 3 variations for these clocks, and they're almost all identical except for a few changes made between them. And I thought I'd cover them just in case anyone was wondering. The A versions and B versions are completely identical, except the A variants had an external antenna input and an earphone jack right around here. And the B version does not have that. The C variant has a different tape mechanism than the A and the B, and it has the buttons arranged differently as well. You can see here, compared to this one, the play button is moved over here, the fast wind buttons are shifted over here, and the stop eject button are combined into one button, and then we have an added pause button. So most likely the C variants were later production and they changed out the mechanisms. The C versions also have one more difference, and that is the time set lock was moved down here, level with the brightness switch. Why they did that, I have no clue, but that is another difference. And another difference that I noticed is the A versions had a different style message light than the B and C versions. And that's just what I've gathered comparing pictures between all three versions. And from what I see, the B version is the most common, which is what this one is. So now that we've taken a tour of the clock, I'll go ahead and demonstrate all the features. Now we heard the radio a little bit earlier, but I'll go ahead and turn it on, tune through some stations, and we'll get a feel for how it sounds. It's FM mono only, there's only one speaker, and it sounds pretty decent.
And he has what he needs for his body. So in the name of Jesus, yes, we are so excited that Cornelius...
There you can hear that tone control working. Don't want to hit a copyright match. That's FM. I don't know how AM's gonna work because for some reason in this area, AM just has a constant buzz. I guess there's something in the area causing interference. Actually, I don't seem to be getting anything from AM. That's odd. Something may be broken with that. I don't know if something's gone out inside or what. I don't really listen to AM radio, so it's not really a concern for me, thankfully. I thought maybe the switch was dirty, but it doesn't seem to be coming in at all. So that's a bummer. Well, let's move on though, and we'll have a look at the cassette player. Now you'll notice that it says automatic stop right here, but nowhere does it say cushion eject. That's because they didn't include a cushion eject mechanism on this thing. Yeah, that's zero cushion on the door. I usually just ease it up with my finger, but let's go ahead and see what it sounds like. Can't play too much of that. But you can see it sounds pretty good for an alarm clock. And amazingly, even though I don't think I've ever replaced the belt since owning it, the tape drive is in complete working order. Fast forward works. And rewind. And this thing has some really clunky tactile feeling buttons. which they even kind of pop out a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with that. I kind of like the feel of it. They work fine, and at least they're not some cheap plasticky feeling ones. It feels robust. So I'll go ahead and switch to something copyright free so we can listen to it longer. And I'll also try out the waking up to the cassette tape feature. Okay, our time is at 1:35 and our wake time is a little ahead of that. So we'll put her to wake to tape. And then we're gonna have to press play to engage the mechanism. But you'll notice that the tape is not being transported. If we set it to radio off briefly, you'll see that it will. But when it's in wake to tape mode, it's basically on standby until the alarm goes off. So I'll go ahead and advance the time, and it should go off. There it goes. You can hear the speaker has some decent bass. But again, it's a clock, so nothing spectacular. Now you can hit snooze like normal, and after 9 minutes, it'll go off again. But there is one cool and really well thought out feature of this clock, and that is if you reach the end of the tape and the mechanism stops via the automatic stop, or likewise, if you set the alarm but forget to press play, it will default to the alarm buzzer. Instead of just playing nothing and not waking you up, it falls back to the buzzer in case the tape mechanism is not in play. So that's a really well thought out feature. So if I skip past the snooze, the buzzer should go off now. Yep, there you go. That's what the buzzer sounds like, and you can adjust it with the volume. I don't know if you can press play and it'll... Yep, sure enough. So yeah, your buzzer will back you up in case your tape runs out or you forget to press play. I went ahead and flipped the tape over, so let's see how the automatic stop works. Should be almost there. Yep. Works perfect. And this is the kind that works by tape tension. So there's this little catch right here. It has nothing to do with the spindles. If the tape has tension on it, that's what stops it. Next, we'll do a test of the record function. And it's important to note that this is not one-touch record. As you can see, nothing's happening. You have to press down record and play at the same time, which is why this little bar indicator is right here. So let's give it a go. Testing, testing. This is an audio test recorded by the General Electric model number 7-4975B. Testing, testing. This is an audio test recorded by the General Electric model number 7-4975B. It seemed that there was a little static sort of mess in the beginning, but it cleared up. So I don't know what that was, but as you can see, it records just fine. So there you have it. That is a complete tour and overview of the GE 7-4975B. It's a real solid clock. Not spectacular, it's pretty basic on the features, but it's a real solid unit, a good looker, and it's a lot of fun waking up to what you want to wake up to on the tape deck. And again, it's one of my favorites and one of my daily drivers on my nightstand. Definitely a good one. I definitely say it's up there with GE's best radios that they made. So that's gonna do it for this radio review. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for tuning in, and hope you have a great rest of your day. All right, I'm back from school. No homework. Sweet. Time to go play The Legend of Zelda. Oh wait, what's this?
Hello, Ricky dear, it's your mother. I hope you had a good day at school today. I'm out playing bingo, so I won't be home till late tonight. But I've made a list of chores for you to do while I'm gone.
Oh no!
Let's see, I need you to wash the dishes, wash the laundry, mow the lawn.
Oh, you gotta be
You're
kidding
gonna
me.
have to do my flower garden again, or you're gonna get it. What else? Take out the trash. Wipe off the counters for me. And
Seriously?
change the cat litter box. And that's it. So that'll all better be done when I get home tonight. If not, I'm gonna take your Nintendo controllers until it's all done. So, I love you, Richie, and I'll see you tonight.
Great.